Hi everyone. So I just wanted to come on here and just do a little video because every time I learn these new random facts, I feel like a whole new I'm exposed to this whole new perspective of the Bible that I didn't understand. And what I've been learning about just by watching a couple videos, I will try to link the person that I heard this talk from. It's called A Catholic Style of Bible Study, but I forget the person's name. I think it's Karlo something. But basically he's talking about he's doing a Catholic Bible study, and the part that he was talking about was basically he's talking about typology, which is something that I had heard about before. And literally what typology means is the study of types. But in terms of reading the Bible, the Catholic Church teaches that typology is what we need to use in order to really be able to understand the Bible. And what that means is when you're reading the Bible, any book of the Bible, obviously every single book of the Bible is its own book, is its own story. But when you're reading these books, obviously the writer and inspirer of these books are all the same God, even in the New Testament or in the Old Testament. And I think sometimes it's easy to forget that because it seems like sometimes God is different in the Old Testament. But he's not. He's the same God. He's the same Jesus. So basically what the Catholic Church teaches, and this is in the Catechism, and he talks about this in the video, The Catholic Style of Bible Study, is that everything that you need to read, everything that you read in the Bible, including the Old Testament, you need to read it with an understanding and a knowledge of Christ's crucifixion and resurrection. And basically knowing that that happens is how you read the whole Bible, even the Old Testament, before it actually before the resurrection and before the crucifixion and the resurrection actually happened. So for example, he gives a couple of examples, but this is the one that really just when it clicked in my mind, I was like, whoa, this is awesome. So basically the example that he uses is the story of Abraham and when he's called to sacrifice his son Isaac. And when I first read this story in the Bible was still when I was in the process of my conversion or reversion to Catholicism. And I remember having a big issue with this scripture. I remember I actually got in a very serious discussion with my mother because she was explaining it to me and I just didn't understand. I said, what kind of God? Because God was so confusing to me in the God. When I read the Old Testament, I'm like, what is this about? God. Every single time I feel like I start off that way. And I was still in that place where I didn't want to let things go. When I didn't understand something, I've learned now that you just need to let it go when you don't understand, and it'll later be revealed to you if it needs to be revealed, and if not, then it won't. And you just need to be okay with that. But during this time period, I was reading the story of Abraham and I was like, this doesn't make any sense, and I don't know if I can handle this Christian thing. I mean, I don't know if it was that serious, but it definitely made me question God. And the part that made me question God was that basically when I forget why exactly in the Bible, I have to reread the scripture, but I was just listening to the Bible study. But anyway, basically God calls Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac. And now I remember. What happens is God promises Abraham a couple of promises, and one of them is that he's going to be a father of many nations. And it says, I think, something specifically about as many children as the stars. But Abraham and his wife are this old couple, and he starts to doubt that promise because he doesn't have any kids. And it's for a long time after the promise. I think it's they say it's 10 years or something. I don't even know. 15 years. I don't know. But basically it's a long time, and he starts to doubt God. And so what he does is his wife, Sarah or Sarai at the time, I think, because she changes her name. So it's either it's Sarai in this moment, I think. She tells Abraham to try sleeping with what they have is like a servant, like a handmaid, and to basically try and have a child. And he does. He has a child with her, Ismail. And basically, God gets mad because instead of trusting him, well, he doesn't get mad, but instead of trusting him, what Abraham does is kind of doubt him and try to take matters into his own hands by doing this with the servant and having this child. So the child of the promise isn't Ismail, it's Isaac, which later on, Sarai does get pregnant. And that is she gets pregnant with Isaac, who is the son of the promise of who Abraham is supposed to have this many nations, descendants of many nations. So anyways, the point is, as a way of showing his allegiance to God and showing that he does trust him again, God asked Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac on a hill, which I learned from this Bible study, and I think you can also tell by other context clues in the Bible, that the hill that Abraham walks up with Isaac is the same hill, or if not the same hill, close to the same hill that Jesus was crucified. Well, the church that was near where Jesus was crucified, it's the same hill of the church. Of where, oh gosh, I can't explain this. Rewind. Okay. There's a church near where Jesus is crucified, and that's the same hill that Abraham and Isaac walk up for this sacrificial moment. Anyways, in the time of my reversion, I remember thinking, what kind of God would ask Abraham? Why would he ask him to sacrifice his son? Like, this is human sacrifice. Like, what? This doesn't sound like the God, the true God. This doesn't sound right. Something about this feels very wrong. And in the end of the story, Abraham is about to sacrifice Isaac, and God stops him and doesn't let the sacrifice happen, and instead they sacrifice a lamb. Well, basically, the new fact that I learned with this whole typology thing is reading the story in the light of Jesus's crucifixion and resurrection changes that whole story. Because if you look into the comparisons and the similarities, Jesus, who is Jesus in this story? And when you really look at it, Jesus is Isaac. And tradition says that Isaac did know that this was probably something that was going to happen, that he was going to be the offering and the sacrifice, and he actually carried the wood up the hill, just like Jesus carried the cross to his crucifixion. And when understanding that just makes it such a more powerful and beautiful story, because even though Abraham didn't actually have to sacrifice his son in the end, the fact that you're so enraged by that, you kind of start to realize, like, whoa, that's what God did for us. He sacrificed his son for us. And Jesus sacrificed himself for us. And he carried the cross for us. And not just God, also Mary. Mary sacrificed her only son for us. And I don't know, like, that just automatically, like, knowing that comparison, it just makes the story so much more understandable. And basically, the idea of reading the Bible in this way is that everything that's written in the Old Testament leads up to the New Testament and leads up to the story of Jesus. And it was all the same story all along. It was just revealed to us little by little. And anyways, I just wanted to just post this and just share this a little bit, because I just thought that was something really interesting to learn, and something that also shows that if you just are patient, you know, God will answer those questions for you. And just to not let that anger get a hold of you, because it's not worth it. And anyways, it's just really beautiful. I'm so glad that that Jesus, you know, revealed that to me. So anyways, so I hope you guys are all having a beautiful Sunday. It is Sunday. I've got my church clothes on still. Mass was awesome today. Okay, rant moment. Mass was awesome today. We had the first communicants receiving their first communion, and it's just awesome to be able to see these little kids be able to receive Christ for the first time. And I don't know, that was just really powerful for me. A really beautiful moment. But anyway, so I hope you guys have an awesome week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.